for all the fights you've had, in awe of the fact that you do what you do. It's mind-blowing to me.
Thank you, man. Yeah. I mean, it's not that hard to get your beat, but it was a great experience. Like, I learned a lot in there. I can't really talk.
When this fight was first announced, you had said something to the effect of this would end Jake Paul's career. After what you saw tonight, do you think that Jake should continue to box, or what do you think the future holds for him?
Yeah, look, I really take my hat off. So, I mean, we have to see if it is a broken jaw. Those injuries are very difficult to come back from. But as AJ said, look, that last shot would have knocked.
The fight world is going wild right now. Jake Paul, the 28-year-old influencer turned boxer, just dropped a bombshell. He's retiring from boxing. And this comes right after a shocking career-changing knockout loss to former heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua in Miami. This wasn't some regular KO. This was vicious. Jake didn't just lose, he got wrecked. Reports say he left the ring with a double broken jaw that needed emergency surgery. That's serious damage. Before the fight, Jake was pushing hard to prove he was more than just a YouTube showman. He wanted to be seen as a real fighter, a legit contender. But then Joshua landed that monster right hand and everything came crashing down. Literally. The moment that punch landed, it was like the air got sucked out of the arena. The crowd froze, then exploded. The ref had no choice but to wave it off. Jake was out cold. And now, the big question that's got everyone talking, is Jake Paul's boxing career done for real this time? But here's the twist. Before the knockout, one judge actually had Jake winning 2 rounds. That means he was holding his own before the chaos hit. It's wild to think how fast everything flipped. 1 second he's competing, the next he's lying on the canvas with the fight, and maybe his entire boxing dream slipping away. What a scene. Now this is where everything takes a darker turn. And honestly, it's getting scary. There's a clip spreading online where someone can be heard saying something about a titanium rod in a hand, and it's sending fans into a frenzy. The whole scene feels chaotic, confusing, and downright concerning from a health standpoint.
Cokehead. My rebuttal to that was, I'll tell you what, you can test me randomly for the next 5 years if I can test you randomly for performance enhancing the next 2 years. And I never got a response on that.
This is why Jake Paul is on PEDs. Within this past year, Jake Paul has literally hit a second puberty and aged like 10 years. Furthermore, he has acne and his hairline is receding like crazy. And people like Jake Paul are going to the best skin doctors in the world and probably are taking hair loss products that aren't even approved for the rest of us. Now, I'm not saying that Jake Paul necessarily took a steroid to make him look bigger, but he's definitely taking something that allows him to recover faster.
Here's what's solid though. Reports say Jake Paul has told people close to him that he's completely worn out, both physically and mentally. He's drained from taking heavy hits fight after fight, and it sounds like he's seriously thinking about calling it quits for good. He's not just talking about taking a break. This might be him walking away from boxing altogether. And it all seems to have hit him after that devastating knockout we just talked about. That fight wasn't just a defeat, it was a beatdown. Jake got dropped multiple times, and every time he stood back up, you could see it. The pain, the exhaustion, the struggle to keep fighting. Then that final shot came crashing in, shattering his jaw in 2 places and sending him straight to the hospital for surgery. It was brutal to watch. Now everyone's wondering, will Jake Paul ever step into a pro ring again? The punishment he took from Anthony Joshua, a man who's dominated heavyweight boxing for years, has clearly shaken him to the core. After facing a fighter with that kind of power and experience, Jake's got every reason to rethink his future. And to make it even crazier, there's a video floating around where someone's heard saying, "I am retiring from boxing." And that clip has fans losing their minds. The speculation's exploding online, and no one knows what's real anymore. Things are getting wild. Now get this, someone online actually said, "Give me $1 billion and I'll prove this message." Wild, right? But beyond all the noise, what's really telling is how the insiders and promoters are reacting. And their tone says everything. Eddie Hearn, the man behind the promotion, and one of the most outspoken figures in boxing, didn't hold back before the fight. He had warned everyone that this bout could legitimately end Jake Paul's boxing career. But after seeing the fight play out in such a violent, jaw-dropping way, his whole attitude changed. You could see it. He wasn't bragging or saying, "I told you so." His expression told a story of real concern.
Damn. I don't say that only because I'm fight here in a company, but it's because Jake, the people need to respect Jake, you know? I mean, every single fight, go inside the ring, everybody needs.
Hearn later admitted that the result, as hard as it was to watch, proved his point completely. He said seeing Jake lying there after taking that kind of punishment wasn't satisfying. It was scary. He broke it down clearly. A double jaw fracture isn't just a quick fix injury. That kind of damage means plates, screws, and months of recovery before a fighter can even think about training again. And that's not just about healing bones. It's about rebuilding confidence, facing fear, and dealing with all the mental strain that comes with being knocked out like that. Man, for a fighter still trying to carve out his place among real pros, this is more than a setback. It's a life-changing moment. Eddie made it clear. The road back from something like this isn't just hard, it's uncertain. You could tell he respected Jake's heart, but at the same time, he knew what everyone else was thinking. Maybe this really is the end of Jake Paul's boxing journey. What a turn of events. Eddie Hearn made it clear. The road to recovery isn't just about waiting for bones to heal. It's about everything that happens after the surgery. The long stretch away from sparring, the loss of rhythm, and the timing that every fighter depends on. When you're out that long, your reactions slow down, your sharpness fades, and suddenly the ring doesn't feel as familiar anymore. That's when doubt starts to creep in. And then there's the mental battle, the fear of getting hurt again. That hesitation every time a punch comes flying toward your face. Hearn said that fear alone can change a boxer forever, both in mindset and in performance. Once that seed of doubt is planted, it's hard to shake. Fighters start second-guessing themselves in the pocket, and that's where careers start to shift, sometimes permanently. He did give Jake Paul credit, though. Hearn admitted that Jake's toughness and willingness to fight legit contenders deserves respect. A lot of critics said Jake would never face real competition, but he did. Still, Hearn reminded everyone that boxing doesn't care about your followers, your fame, or how much money you've got stacked. The sport is cold, unforgiving, and brutally honest.
I got dropped. But yeah, I was doing good. I just think my cardio, just the mental pressure of the big guy and sparring the big people is different than the 10-ounce gloves. So I was feeling his power a lot more. But it was a great experience. Like, I learned a lot in there. I can't really.
Are you in pain?
Yeah, but
Does it hurt?
It's not from like talking.
Talk to me about what your jaw feels like, because you got
It's like a baseball in there.
two
then-
plates,
It just feels like
4 titanium plates.
4 titanium plates. How many do you have?
Just one.
8.
One bad night can change your life forever. And this knockout, this moment, might be that turning point. Hearn said fighters who experience injuries like Jake's often have to take a hard look in the mirror and ask themselves if the pain, the recovery, and the long-term health risks are worth the fame and fortune. Sometimes the answer isn't what fans want to hear. Then came Joe Rogan's reaction. And that really got people talking. Rogan's been covering combat sports for decades, seen everything from early knockouts to heartbreaking retirements. When he spoke about Jake's knockout on his podcast, his tone wasn't casual. It was serious. He said Jake needs to think deeply about his future and what staying in this game could cost him long term. And let's be real, when Joe Rogan, a guy who's seen countless fighters battle through concussions, surgeries, and brain trauma, says be careful, you listen. He's watched too many fighters push too far, and the fact that he's sounding the alarm for Jake Paul says a lot. This isn't just about one loss, it's about what comes next. Joe Rogan didn't hold back. He straight up warned that the punishment Jake Paul took in that fight could come with long-term consequences way more serious than a broken jaw. Those thunderous shots from Anthony Joshua, a world-class heavyweight who's been smashing elite fighters for years, aren't just about visible damage. Rogan said those hits carry a hidden price, one that your brain and body pay slowly over time, and it's a cost that might never go away. He explained that when a fighter takes that kind of impact, the risks go far beyond a single knockout. It's about the cumulative damage, the stuff that builds up inside the brain after years of head trauma. Rogan mentioned conditions like chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE, memory issues, and mood disorders. All the things we now understand better as science keeps uncovering how brutal combat sports can be on the brain. And then he dropped a chilling description of the shot that ended Jake's night.
In the fucking face every single day while I could be playing soccer in Saudi. I'm friends with the Saudis slash football.
Back in the day?
I was on the A team in 7th grade. I have a really good kick. I can run fast, and I'll.
Rogan said that Joshua's knockout punch carried the force of, and I'm quoting here, like 10 punches all concentrated into one devastating impact. That's terrifying when you think about what that actually means. all that power smashing into one small area of the skull. Rogan said that kind of blow doesn't just rattle you, it shakes your brain against the inside of your head in ways that can cause damage you can't see right away. He also pointed out something a lot of fans overlook. The heavyweight division is a completely different world. The punches are heavier, the knockouts are harder, and the potential for long-term injury skyrockets. Rogan wasn't trying to scare Jake, but he made it clear, this isn't just about bouncing back for another payday. It's about protecting your future, your memory, your speech, and your life. His message was bigger than Jake Paul. It was a warning to every fighter chasing fame at the cost of their health. Rogan's basically saying, you might win the crowd, but if you lose your mind and body in the process, was it really worth it? And just when people were starting to digest all that, here's where things got weird. Out of nowhere, Jake said something during the fight that had everyone scratching their heads, wondering if he was being serious or just stirring things up like he always does. It was quick, it was strange, and it had fans replaying clips over and over trying to figure out what he meant. What a twist. But wait till you hear this. Reports are flying all over the internet claiming that Jake Paul has told people he's actually thinking about going on a cycle of steroids. Yeah, you heard that right. Supposedly, he wants to do it just to prove a point. According to these secondhand sources, Jake's idea is to show the world what he'd look like, enhanced versus natural, as some kind of way to silence all those accusations that he's secretly been juicing throughout his boxing career. Wild move, right? Apparently, his thinking is that if people can see the dramatic physical change for themselves, it'll somehow prove that everything he achieved before was completely natural. That his past performances, the power, the muscle, the transformation, came from pure training, not any chemical help. But critics are losing it over this idea. They're calling it reckless, dangerous, and flat out asking for trouble.
Ever give a monkeys about what anyone says, because they sit at home, they're full of negativity. It's like the people that are negative towards someone like Jake Paul. Look at what he's done with his life. Do you know what I mean? So yes, it took AJ a couple of rounds to get hold of him, and then he knocked him spark out and broke his jaw. It was a frustrating 2-3 rounds maybe, because Jake was moving so much, holding, but did well, I thought. I mean, I was impressed with him. I mean, I was more impressed with his toughness, because I think that last shot would have knocked out most heavyweights. I mean, you've got to respect him, because he did what many people wouldn't do, which was get in the ring with him. And, you know, he didn't, I know he run and hold, but he also let his hands go at times. And he was in the firing line. And, you know, we got 6 good rounds in the end of actual work.
You see it in the end?
Yeah, I actually think it's a positive, because, you know, we could have gone in there and got it all over with 45 seconds. He's done an 8-week camp, and now he's done 6 rounds. He's got something to go back on, work on with a team. And onward.
Some even say that if Jake actually tried something like that, it could blow up in his face and cause serious issues with boxing commissions. We're talking possible suspensions, fines, and overturned results. That's how strict boxing's anti-doping rules are. They don't play around when it comes to performance enhancers. A stunt like this could easily spiral into a legal and career nightmare. But of course, Jake's fan base sees it differently. His supporters think he's just fighting back in his trademark defiant style, taking the rumors head on and turning the controversy into his own weapon. They say this is classic Jake Paul, pushing buttons, sparking conversation, and making everyone talk about him. Still, plenty of people in the boxing world aren't buying it for a second. They believe this is just another publicity ploy, a way to stir things up when the spotlight starts to fade. Some analysts are even warning fans not to take it literally, calling it pure showmanship, the same kind of headline-grabbing chaos Jake's built his entire brand on. And honestly, until Jake sits down and clears the air himself, on camera, in his own words, nobody really knows what to believe. Is he serious? Is this another mind game? Or is he just keeping his name in the headlines while everyone's still talking about that brutal knockout? Whatever the truth is, this twist just made an already insane story even more explosive.
For someone who's been boxing for like less than a decade, he has had no real professional opponents other than Tommy Fury that were legitimate world-class boxers.
I don't even remember what happened in the Tommy Fury.
He lost a close decision, but it was a good fight. It was a good fight, though. He's a good boxer. If he wasn't a YouTuber, people would be way more impressed with him.
Yeah.
The problem is he was like a famous kid, and then no one took him seriously.
Yeah.
But
oh, and then he started too with like more spectacle-ish fights. People were like, oh, this is you fought, Nate Robinson, like a basketball player.
But the thing is, he knocked Nate Robinson
He knocked him
dead,
the fuck out.
and
yeah.
it's the way he did it.
The claim about Jake's supposed steroid comments is still completely unverified, and honestly, it's just adding more fuel to the chaos surrounding him right now. This whole situation's turning into one giant storm of confusion. Even his statements are sounding strange. He apparently said something that makes it that I snore, which doesn't even make sense, but somehow fits perfectly into the bizarre whirlwind his career has become. But let's put the rumors aside for a second and focus on what actually went down in that ring, because the real details are jaw-dropping, literally. During that heavyweight showdown in Miami, Anthony Joshua didn't just beat Jake Paul, he broke him. The whole fight turned on one single moment, one perfectly timed right hand that changed everything. Joshua's right hand has always been his most feared weapon, the same punch that's finished world champions before, and in the 6th round, he landed it flush. The sound alone told the story. That punch cracked through Jake's guard and hit with precision and power that only a seasoned heavyweight like Joshua can deliver. Jake hit the canvas hard, the crowd gasped, and even before the ref started counting, you could tell something was seriously wrong. The hit didn't just knock him down, it shattered his jaw in 2 separate places. Doctors later called it a double break, one of the most painful and serious injuries a fighter can suffer. Right there in the ring, you could see it. The swelling, the way Jake's face looked off, and the grimace of someone trying to stay composed through excruciating pain. After the knockout was called and the medical team rushed in, it became obvious that Jake needed help fast. He was taken straight to a Miami hospital, where surgeons had to perform extensive reconstructive surgery to fix the damage, metal plates, screws, the works. Later, Jake even posted about it on his social media, showing the swelling and the visible misalignment of his face. It was tough to look at. That one punch didn't just end the fight. It might have ended an entire chapter of his career. The power, the precision, the injury, everything about that moment screamed finality.
Okay. My rebuttal to that was, I'll tell you what, you can test me randomly for the next 5 years for if I can test you randomly for performance enhancing the next 2 years. And I never got a response on that.
This is why Jake Paul is on PEDs. Within this past year, Jake Paul has literally hit a second puberty and aged like 10 years. Furthermore, he has acne and his hairline is receding like crazy. And people like Jake Paul are going to the best skin doctors in the world and probably are taking hair loss products that aren't even approved for the rest of us. Now, I'm not saying that Jake Paul necessarily took a steroid to make him look bigger, but he's definitely taking something that allows him to recover faster. That way he's able to train.
What happened in that ring wasn't just a loss. It was a wake-up call that shook the boxing world. The surgery Jake Paul went through was no small deal. It was intense. Doctors had to install 2 titanium plates, one on each side of his jaw, just to hold the shattered bones together while they heal. And here's the part that really hits how brutal that punch was. Surgeons had to remove several of Jake's teeth as part of the procedure. Yeah, multiple teeth gone, all from one devastating shot from Anthony Joshua. That's not just a knockout, that's a total facial reconstruction. Jake later posted a hospital update, saying the operation went well according to his doctors, but the recovery isn't going to be easy. He's stuck on a liquid diet for at least a week, maybe longer, depending on how fast the bones start fusing back together. Imagine that. Your jaw literally rebuilt with metal plates and screws, and you can't even chew solid food for days. It's painful just to think about. Now, with Jake Paul, there's always noise online. Theories, conspiracies, wild claims, but let's clear up one of the biggest rumors once and for all. That 6th round knockout by Anthony Joshua was 100% real, no question about it. People had been whispering that maybe the fight was scripted or set up for attention, but the footage, the injury, and that brutal aftermath left zero doubt. This was not some stage stunt. That punch was as real as it gets. Promoter Eddie Hearn, who's seen more fights than almost anyone in the business, didn't waste a second shutting down the nonsense. He went on record right after the bout, firing back hard against the claims that it was fixed. He said flat out that this was a fully sanctioned professional fight. Real gloves, real stakes, and real danger in that ring.
Damn. I don't say that only because I'm fight here in a company, but it's because Jake, the people need to respect Jake, you know? I mean, every single fight go inside the ring, everybody needs.
Hearn emphasized that nobody's risking their health, their reputation, and their jaw for a fake headline. The knockout, the surgery, the visible damage, it all speaks for itself. There's no script that can fake that kind of pain. Anyone still calling it staged clearly didn't see what that right hand did to Jake Paul's face. That moment was pure, raw, and brutally real. The kind of reminder that in boxing, there's no faking the hurt. This fight wasn't just thrown together in some backroom deal. It was fully regulated by official boxing authorities, the same ones that oversee world title bouts. These organizations follow strict no-nonsense rules. And when you add in the fact that the fight was tied to legal betting markets worldwide, any idea of it being scripted becomes totally ridiculous. We're talking about something that would be illegal, impossible to hide, and would require dozens of people, from judges to medical staff to betting regulators, all being in on it. That's just not happening. Think about it for a second. Between the commissions, the cameras, the live broadcasts, and the worldwide gambling oversight, there's no way to secretly fix a fight of this scale. The logistics alone would fall apart instantly, and promoter Eddie Hearn wasn't shy about breaking it down. He said the proof that this was real is right there for everyone to see. Jake Paul's broken jaw. That was a genuine, brutal, career-threatening injury that required emergency surgery with titanium plates and even the removal of teeth. Hearn put it perfectly when he said, "You simply don't fake that kind of injury." And he's right. No fighter in their right mind would agree to have their jaw shattered in 2 places just to play along with some wild internet conspiracy. The surgery, the x-rays, the hospital stay, all of it's documented and confirmed. The pain, the swelling, the months of recovery ahead, that's all very real.
I got dropped. But yeah, I was doing good. I just think my cardio, just the mental pressure of the big guy and sparring the big people is different than the 10-ounce gloves. So I was feeling his power a lot more. But it was a great experience. Like, I learned a lot in there. I can't really.
Are you in pain?
Yeah, but
Does it hurt?
it's not from like talking.
Talk to me about what your jaw feels like, because you got
It's like a baseball in there.
two
And then
plates,
It just feels like
4 titanium plates.
4 titanium plates. How many do you have?
What happened that night in Miami wasn't a stunt. It was 2 professional boxers going at it for real, under the bright lights, with everything on the line. One of them, Anthony Joshua, landed the kind of punch that ends fights and possibly careers, and the other, Jake Paul, paid the price in full view of millions. So let's be real. This wasn't fixed, faked, or staged. It was boxing at its rawest, and Jake Paul found out the hard way what happens when you step in with an elite heavyweight. Now that's the full story, so make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you've been following this wild saga, because this one's far from over.